what's going on with it.
God, I had a horrible day too. So I didn't have a chance to tell you about Mom, did I? Oh yeah, that was fun.
Another lovely one.
Yep. So I'm trying to
recover from
help her. I'm trying to help her out with her getting her Social Security because she just moved over to SunTrust, a different bank, Truist now, not SunTrust. Moved to a different bank, and her Social Security and state of Florida retirement and blah 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 is all going into this one account. And so as I you got to go and type. So they send you a code. I've got to type in the stuff. So while I'm there, I browse through her messages, and she's doing the exact same thing that she had done before.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Except for now, instead of $25,000 at a time, it's $25 gift cards at a time because that's all she can afford. Yeah. Anyway, hey guys, what's happening?
Hey there, hi there, ho there, out in Spray Wash land. Yeah, something like that.
Doug and I both had shitty days tonight, so we're depending on you
guys. So we might end up being a little bit salty, but that's just the way it
real
goes.
Salty.
Yeah.
Real salty.
Mine was it wasn't really that it was a crappy day. It was just that it was stupid. Yep. Just absolutely freaking stupid.
Stupid days. Well, we were out of town for 3 days last week, and so now we're trying to play catch, and that's always fun whenever you've had other people running the store trying to play catch up. So I'm about a quarter of the way through what I need to do and messages to return and things. I mean, finally at 6:30, I'm like, this is just stupid. You know what? I'm missing my grandson's ball game. So yeah. But
I actually can't wait till I get to the point where I can really talk about what the issue is for me. And because that's when the salt is going to flow.
and Doug, and this is where, understand this, guys. Whenever Doug and I are talking to y'all about stuff, we're honestly not pulling stuff just out of our butts. I mean, we're talking to y'all from a
life experience,
somewhat educated, and doing what we do and just, trying to give back to the industry and, get some cohesion to it. We get a lot of ex parte communications with people. And this is where, we want to sit here and kind of share it with you. And a lot of times, we'll change the names to protect the innocent. And we've seen just horrible, horrible things happen in this industry. I mean, downright shocking. I mean, I've literally seen from good names in this industry, equipment and vehicles sold to other washers that had unpaid liens on those vehicles, and then another lien for the equipment, and the person understanding
nobody telling anybody.
The washer understanding there was one lien, but not that there was two liens, and one of these, I hate to say it, the washer that bought it kind of did some real dumbass mistakes as well, for lack of a better term. He should not have done it this way. I understand why he did. I mean, it was a credit thing, money thing, I'll do this. The person that sold this rig to them literally put him in a position to where the truck was up for repossession and it was in a different state. And literally, if the company would have found that truck, if he would have been on a job,
gone.
His truck would have gotten hooked up and towed.
I think a lot of people know that story. They don't, maybe haven't necessarily heard the story, but that was out there because that was how many years ago was that? That was like 4?
Maybe 5 now, but yeah, I mean, and it was with very well-known people in this industry. I mean, it's and both got the calls and we talked about it. I mean, we've heard very well-known stories of very well-known people not getting, not paying other lesser-known people for, hey, come help me with this job. I'll pay you $10,000 for this. Never getting anything in writing on it. and then the guy that goes and helps gets a check for $1,500. You know.
Oh, we've heard all kinds of stories. I mean, not so. Just so you guys know, too, we do a little bit of fact checking on stuff. Like, you know, I know, for example, a guy that was selling soaps, and you know, he was taking the money and he wasn't, you know, fulfilling orders, you know, kind of a thing, or you know, seemed like he was sending different products or whatever. I mean, that was something that we could verify. But I also, you know, we've heard other stories about, you know, certain people in the industry doing certain things that you just either knew weren't true or you couldn't verify that they were true. And
you've heard some didn't prove out, you know. I mean,
because everybody starts stories. I mean, you know,
yeah,
like, you know, somebody was saying Ray actually had hair. I mean, why would you start a story like that? I mean, you know,
that's a lot.
You know what though, we still need to do that, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember. So Trevor Shamlin started it with me, and I actually bought the domain name, which is advertised on RaymondBurksBaldSpot.com. And so we still need to do that one day. Hey, you know what? I mean, look.
I will never forget the first time I realized it, that we were at some conference years ago, and somebody said, all of a sudden, you know, my face, and I used to live on Facebook, and my Facebook dinged, and I was like, oh, okay, what's that? And somebody just tagged me, and they're like, standing beside, oh my God, standing beside Raymond Burke, you know, during this class or during the giveaway. And I'm like, I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, I'm not in this picture. There's some bald dude wearing a spray wash. Oh my God, that's me.
And then you're like, uh-oh.
See that crap, you know? I mean, I try to avoid mirrors all that I can, but yeah. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to embrace my baldness tonight. So
there you go.
I learned to put like a lot of sunscreen on crap like that. That helps a lot.
You know what? I mean, you can see how thin that is. I got to do the same thing. I mean, I might as well be bald. I mean, because it's you know, if I'm out in the sun, I gotta do something, because I'm in the same boat. So
I can't answer this directly, even though if you do enough research, you'll figure it out. But Tanya and I were in Boca on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week buying another business. Totally not pressure washing related, totally out of our wheelhouse of anything that we've ever done before.
Can I guess?
No, you can't. You're out of it. So, but stay tuned. We'll have some pretty cool announcements on that. Power Wash Tour isn't going anywhere. That's a little side gig for us to do. So we're kind of excited, and hell, maybe make a YouTube channel on it, and we'll see. You know,
it might be kind of fun.
Yeah, might be. You know,
and you're going to get any kind of insurance on that thing?
Yeah, I think I'm going to get insurance on it. In fact, we got insurance on it before we actually got it. So, and it was like, oh, you recommend this much? No, I'll tell you what, let's do it and double that. And that is the discussion that, you know, we wanted to have tonight, and about this.
We were kind of trying to have a little bit of it last week, because we were supposed to have sit on, and then we weren't, and then he was. So we started it, but we didn't finish it. So we're going to kind of finish it.
But, you know, just to refresh everybody on here, and again, not necessarily public knowledge. I can't disclose names, locations, things like that. But I've been hired as and really, I mean, technically, both of us, if you want to think about it, because they found us by searching out, you know, plant property protection. An attorney has contracted with me as a standard of care expert in two current lawsuits. Now, these are current lawsuits from one insurance carrier. And let's say that
and that means that there are more. It's just
there are more. I mean, this
happens to just be this
represents this one particular insurance company out there. One of them was in a townhouse And that one caused $360,000 worth of damage to the initial residence and other residences that were attached to it. The other house was a total loss, burned down, ceilings and all of it, roof and everything. In fact, if you go to Google right now, you see the picture of it. And I mean, you see daylight, you see the roof that's collapsed in from the fire. So these are sorry, I apologize. The dog's kind of going crazy.
Even Bailey's saying that was a pretty.
Yeah, even Bailey's going, yeah, get your insurance out there.
Yeah.
But the whole issue on this is it really goes back to the control, custody, care issue on that people need to understand on their insurance. So let me backtrack on here a little bit.
Sorry, I read a comment.
Yes, you know how that works.
Yeah,
the other thing too, though, is y'all realize that lawsuits are incredibly expensive, and even if you win a lawsuit,
you
lose a lawsuit. And even if you, at least where we're talking about, and even if you win an insurance claim, you lose at the same time. It's bad all around. But the whole point of these lawsuits are with these amazing, horrific, horrible losses is the attorney wanting to know what is the standard of care that is owed to a customer.
And that's a key word. What's the standard of care? Have you done anything? Because we know a lot of guys out there are doing absolutely nothing. And there is a standard of care that you need to be concerned with.
Yeah. Yep. And there is. I mean, and you can literally sit there and say that, okay, it should have been an outlet should have been ground fault protected. There should have been, maybe there was an open ground on there. Maybe such and such, happened wrong with the electrical wiring, and that was a problem. That's why this actually went down and went south like it did. Well, you know what, guys? We have an old Southern saying that crap rolls downhill, and also the last person that touches something is a lot of times the one that's responsible for the problems that happen there. So in this situation, let's say it was wired incorrectly. It's still because you forced water into an outlet and not just water, but you forced soapy
solution. Yeah.
You forced a soapy, extra conductive solution into an area where it didn't belong on there. And then,
one of the big things that we always hear too is people always saying, well, if it's not to code, it's not my fault. Okay.
And that's wrong. I know there's guys out there there's guys out there talking about, buy our bulletproof contract.
Yeah, no such thing.
Our bulletproof contract, and it'll save you from any problems whatsoever. Bullcrap. There is no such thing as a bulletproof contract. And whenever you cause the loss of a house, I don't care what kind of contract you have signed from that, they're going to come after you if you don't have the proper insurance. Now, you might prevail in the end. It's going to cost you $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. Come here, buddy. Come here and say, hey, you're fine.
And you can say, well, yeah, but I have insurance, and so it's only going to cost me my deductible. But that isn't always true, because the insurance companies do have a chance to deny certain claims for certain reasons.
Well, and part of that denial is the care, custody, and control issue that people, and there's there's a lot of online insurances now, and they advertise on YouTube, and you see that a lot. And I think they're actually a sponsor of some guys that are out there that are gurus in the industry that are selling, you know, skids and training classes and all. Mm-hmm. And they actually have an extra, you know, for an extra $50 a month or whatever, will include care, custody, and control. But understand what care, custody, and control means. It means that if something is in your custody and you're an expert
in operating such a business, you're putting yourself out as the expert.
It's on you. It's on you. It's on you. There is no, you know, it's put it like this. If you don't have care, custody, and control, if you have that exclusion in your policy, pretty much all that you're covered for is a freak accident or a act of God. But then again, I say act of God, but even act of God is usually excluded in a separate, hey, Austin, a separate clause on there. So that, here's what I mean by that. Let me give a good example. It's actually one that I saw. If you're an auto mechanic and you put a car on a lift and you then lift the car up, but you didn't put the stanchions out correctly and balance the weight out, and that lift goes up and the 7,000 pound F-250 topples off of it and goes and crushes another car, your insurance company isn't paying for that. You understand that? Because you're the expert. The property was in your control whenever the accident happened, and you should have had enough sense to make that not happen.
Well, now on something like that, I think the way that would go, going with that scenario, more likely than not, what would happen is the truck that was on the lift wouldn't be covered, but the other vehicle that it fell on top of would, you know, might be covered.
But they could also argue the point. And hold on, let me give a disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I am not a licensed real estate or a licensed insurance agent.
We're not giving you legal advice or insurance advice.
This is just observations. I never knew. So. But this is where, wow. My wife literally, when I said, don't take my advice, my wife just popped her head in and said, I never do. Well, yes, I do. Yeah. Love you, honey.
In fact, she generally does the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, oh, wait, did he say that? Do the exact different thing. Oh, Mike, you understand it, buddy. I mean, golly. I mean, Mike understands this so well. With that, I mean, and you want to talk about an absolute expert, Mr. Tesoro, just this guy has forgotten more about pressure washing than most of us on here who ever watches a rebroadcast ever know. I mean, anyhow, so if you're the expert, this is why you need to make sure your insurance policy specifically covers that something that screw up that you do is still covered on there. Now, going one step further than this, so here's what happens whenever I'm hired as an expert witness, kind of a standard of care thing. I have to go and look at some people's social media. And whenever you've got videos of you out there spraying houses with no tape on a house, with no outlets covered, and in fact, not even no outlets covered, but you, Doug, I sent you the video, you extra spraying the outlet. It doesn't.
But hey, he was doing a thorough rinse job, let me tell you.
No, it was an extremely thorough rinse job on there, especially on that outlet was immaculate.
Yeah. It was rinsed well.
You know, one of the things that, and you know, I see a comment. I haven't even read Gene's comment yet, but I want to get back up here. You know, I want to address a couple of these.
Yeah.
But so first off, understand insurance's job is to not pay out any claim whatsoever they can. You know, I mean, let's face it, that's what insurance really, really, really tries to do. And furthermore, if you have depending on your deductible, it might be better off for you to just pay it out of pocket on there. We've always had a kind of a thing at our company, 2,500,
my paying threshold was 3,000.
Here's your money, you know, here's your check.
Even though the deductible was only 5.
You know what? Let me give you. We've mentioned this before, but I have a somebody who's become a very good friend, a customer, and we were actually buddies before then. He was one of the guys that called me up whenever I owned Spray Wash and just said, "Hey, I'm opening a company here in Tallahassee. I'd love to talk to you and learn from you. And you mind if I call you for questions?" And I always respect that whenever somebody does that.
Yep.
And if you're a new guy out there, find somebody you trust and reach out to them. Mm-hmm. This industry is so giving. It's amazing how giving this is. Anyway, my buddy
and taking,
and there is that part. So let me set the stage here. My very good friend, he got called to do an attorney's office, right? So he does an attorney's office. He gets, I need your insurance. I need this. I need that. Great. Cleans the attorney's office. The attorney is thrilled with the job. He's like, "Man, you did such an amazing job on this. I want you to go by and look at my house. I want you to go by and look at my personal house." He shows up to go look at that personal house. He's like, "It's not even that dirty." But the wife is like, "Yeah, go ahead and wash. Get it done. Get it done. I mean, you know what? Pollen has it.
Hey, no worries.
Go do it. Just do it." So he does it. He gets a call back later that afternoon going, "You ruined my house. I've got major leaks in here." He's freaking out. He's going absolutely nuts. You know, "Hey, I don't know what I did. I don't know what's going on." And I said, "Do you have pictures? Send me pictures." And he did the, you know, he documented his property protection. He sent pictures from the outside of the house. Well, and then he sent me the pictures that the homeowner who did it himself did that. Now think about this. First off, remember, the homeowner is an attorney. He had him do his office, which is dirty, and he went ahead and checked his insurance out. So first thing we notice on the pictures that he sent was there's a roof patch on there. There's a roof patch literally right above where the supposed damage happened. Now he sends pictures in there of the damage. And I'm pointing out, and I said, "Buddy, look," I said, "there's old water. There's your, and there was damage inside. Don't get me wrong. There was wetness in there. There was old water stain. You know, everybody, we all know what dried water stains look like. There was dried water stains on those photographs coming out of the outlets and stuff, not the fresh water stains that the guy took pictures of, but obviously multiple old dried water stains that had messed up the thing." And part of this guy's point on is like, "I've got to repaint my whole house because this was a custom Sherwin-Williams blend that we had made. And if I paint just this room and blah, blah, blah,
it's not going to match."
He gets sued for just under $10,000, which becomes that pain point. Even though he had the pictures, even though he showed what everything he had done, even though he had pictures of the old roof patch in there, his insurance company still settled with this guy. And not only did they settle, guess what? They dropped him. They dropped him. It was a complete set-up job from the beginning. You could just tell it was a setup job. I mean, oh, by the way, the attorney does mold mitigation laws. That's what he does. So,
and he already had water stains on his wall.
Got to do this. So the reason he sued him for just under 5 figures is because he knows that that's where people will settle. That's where an insurance company will settle and not complain. Also, that roof patch that was done, we substantiated. We literally pulled up the building permit. There was never a permit pulled for whenever a tree fell on his roof. Some jackleg went out there and did that and did not pull a permit. In Florida, if you touch a roof, you have to pull a permit. But this is
And
what
here's the attorney that's doing it and not getting a permit.
Yeah, exactly. So hold on. All right, let me read this. So all right, so
Yeah,
Mike
that's it.
info, yes.
Yeah, next one down.
And the NA, that's the correct codes. That's the correct workers' comp codes on there. And there's so many people that have the wrong workers' comp codes. That's actually a whole different show, a whole different story on there, because you can get denied for a claim if you're one of these guys that go with a jackleg insurance company that says, oh yeah, we're going to give you janitorial workers' comp. Guess
when you're
what?
not doing janitorial work.
Janitorial workers' comp actually says you can't operate a gas engine.
And you can't get on a ladder, correct?
Yeah, and you can't get on a ladder. Yeah, correct. All right, so question. All right, Colin, let's read this. I used to work for beer companies 3 years ago here in South Georgia. Maybe 1 or 2 times a year, an insurance company would come out to a job site and see how we work, how we do things. I built my own company for 3 years, and I've never had that happen. Would that be because he carries workers' comp on 10 other employees? On the other hand, is it just me and my little company? Why don't they come visit our job sites? Okay, great question. I had that with Spray Wash. I actually once a year, I got an insurance audit, and they would come out to job sites, making sure we did the right thing. They would come, and that was a workers' comp. Now, hold on. I did not get the workers' comp. It was actually my payroll company. It was my workers' comp. And they would also come by and review my shop and my trucks. And probably it is because of the size of the company that you are, but the bigger you are, the more liability you have out there. But we had to go and justify that our harnesses were in date. We had to make sure that there wasn't trip hazards in the shop. They wanted to look at us on the job and make sure that we didn't have trip hazards on the job and that we were being safe out there. So yeah, I mean, the larger insurance companies, and the larger your company is, the more risk you're bringing to people.
I think it's even if you're just on the trajectory of growth, right? I mean, we had the same thing happen where they came out and they wanted to just come out and observe a job site and observe employees working at that job site and see what happened. So, I mean, you know, you when you have something like that, you kind of pick and choose because they need an address. You pick and choose the proper address that you already know is going to be the least intrusive to everything, right? And the least amount of people out there and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it ever happened to me. Well, no, it actually even happened when I was just me and one helper, not with Cajun Soft Wash, but with a previous company. But even at Cajun Soft Wash, I mean, we had them come out and visit us, and it's really not that big of a deal. You just have to make sure you're being safe. But why did they do it for his company and not yours? Sometimes it's just the way a particular insurance company operates, and that's how they flow. And he might be getting a discounted rate based on safety standards or whatever. You never know, that kind of thing.
You know, one of the reasons that we talk about photographs, Doug and I are just always, you know, if you ever come to Plant and Property, we talk about photographs. You know, understand, I changed phones. Well, whenever I sold Spray Wash. I'm going to show this to you, though. So I have 36,238 photos on there. If you go back to my old iPhone, I've got like over 80,000 photos on there. Because if you go and even if you do plant and property protection, if you don't take pictures of them, it doesn't matter. Now, I could probably substantiate that, yeah, I've done it. Do I take a picture of every outlet that I've taped? Probably not. Probably don't take a picture of every one. But if I can show that I've got pictures on every job where at least there's a piece of tape on there, you get the idea that, yeah, this guy tapes outlets, you know. I know of one company, this might be to the extreme, but he runs multiple crews. But and guys, listen to this. Think about this. It's outside of the box. But whenever his crews are dispatched to houses, they are not allowed to spray until they have sent pictures of the protection that they have done, the taping the outlets, the taping the doorbell, the moving the plants away from the house, they send that to the office manager. The office manager logs those photos and she sends them a text back that says, proceed to wash.
That's it. That's a really good way of doing it too. That's like an extra level of protection.
It's not bad, man. It's
you
not.
know, the argument is, I can see it already. The argument is, that's just wasting my time. Why would I do that? Well, I tell you what, the guy that's doing that can outsell because of that, right? I'm going to pay him more because he's going to explain that process. The guys can't even wash until they've done this.
Right.
Show pictures of this is what has to be done in order for them to even start a wash job.
You know what?
That's what I want.
Where you want. If you're the company that wants to be the upper echelon, the upper middle to high range, that's the customer you want. If your customers don't care about that, honestly, this podcast isn't for you. I mean, really, I mean, what Gene's saying right there, they're denying, literally, they got a police report that says you hit my son's car. And yeah,
that same thing happened with my wife being stopped at a thing, and somebody came off and hit her, and they and the cop, even the cop was on her. It was a racial thing too, I think. But even though my wife was stopped, the cop said, "Well, you were on the apron, so you're at fault." I mean, kind of thing. And it was where and the lady ended up getting. She had no problems whatsoever. But she fell down 2 weeks later and had to have shoulder surgery. She blamed it on the accident. She got $240,000, kind of a thing. It's like, really?
Wow.
What, yeah.
Never cut corners. Corners can cut you.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. I love what I do. I'm in the service industry that happens to be pressure washing. I love being professional. It's the road less traveled these days by a lot of people. 100%. Anthony.
And they don't.
I've been asked so many times, should there be more government regulation? And I always sit there and say, like, what has government ever actually fixed?
Yeah, they don't.
Ask an Indian. I mean,
I think when you look at it from that aspect, I mean, I see.
We're honestly at this point where there should be licensing,
Yeah, but at the same time, it's going to take things like, what's going on with that lawsuit, where, those lawsuits, where people then start to realize, hey, I'm really going to lose it here. Bud Light is learning, hey, if I do the wrong thing, then, there can be repercussions. And that's why, stuff like that, I don't want the government stepping in, but I think we as a community should step in and show. I mean, and that's why they're searching out. These insurance companies are searching out and saying, we need to find experts in the field. And is there a standard for the industry? And we've kind of written some of those standards, so deal with it. You're just going to plant and property, to me, are probably the most important thing you can do at any job where you're doing the spraying of the chemicals and all that kind of stuff.
And we should vet our own industry. I mean, that's the sad part. And I see it all. It's crazy being a vendor now. From what I've seen, at Spray Wash, and I saw a lot. Spray Wash Pro, Spray Wash Academy, we've seen a lot. But as a vendor, now I see just. I mean, it's crazy what I see. I was telling Doug, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, but I had a call from someone that obviously had a new pressure washer, and he was wanting to buy a downstream injector because the pressure washer that he had an AR pump on there, and on the built-in injector, it literally has a tag that says "Don't use bleach," and I'm like, well. You understand that he's like, because it's going to mess up my pump. But I'm like, the way that a downstream injector is designed, it can't mess up your pump. I mean, it's physically impossible. That's why they call it a downstream injector. But this is what's happening in our industry right now. there's so many people getting into it with the thought of, oh, I've seen a video where I can make $300 an hour. I can make $500 an hour on here, but they don't have any understanding of the actual mechanics of what we're doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not a mechanical whiz whatsoever. I was always a let's sell the job and figure out, we'll hire the right person to figure it out. I mean, I was fearless. And, oh, wait, that requires rappelling. Let me go learn how to rappel and I'll do it. But here's what I know what relatively the costs are going to be on there.
Let me learn how to operate a swing stage. Let me learn how to get into a bosun's chair. Let me, whatever.
Exactly. And you're just not seeing. I mean, the sad part is there's all these. How about this? Any guys that are looking at getting in the industry this right now, we're full. We're full. Don't stop listening to YouTube. Stop going to TikTok. We're full. Unless you actually go and get some extended education. Join the PWNA. Join. I mean, I don't want to play, somebody just actually commented to send us a message this weekend going, well, I didn't realize y'all had Spray Wash Academy and you actually taught, well, yeah, we don't really use this forum as a place to pimp our own stuff. But there is a lot of extra education out there. You have to seek it out, though. But you have to understand whenever you look at something, if you look at a 10-minute video on YouTube, if you look at a 30-second TikTok short, that's not education. Mm-hmm. And understand, here's something else I want. Now you're going to get me spun up, Doug.
What am I doing?
I want everybody to freaking understand this. If you go to a YouTube channel, and you and I did a video on this years ago. I hid the names on there, but if there's a bunch of Amazon referral links, to where this is the pressure washer I started out with, this is the tip that I use, this is the blah, blah, blah that I use to make my business amazing. You know what? You should not be following that channel because
you want to know something, Ray? You just hit something, and I want to pop that. How many? Okay, so what do you do right now? What do you own right now?
I own Power Wash Store Tallahassee.
So you own Power Wash Store Tallahassee, and you sell what? Equipment, correct? For the power wash industry. Yes. How many referral links do we put on, or do you put on our videos and in our everything we do? How many links do you have out there? No, come on. You got to have. Yeah, I mean, you just.
I don't do it.
That's the point. It's not about that.
Because you know what, I'm not willing to. I'm sorry, but I'm going to spell WHORE myself out for a $20 referral fee for a Simpson pressure. Nothing wrong with Simpson, but I'm not willing to what I just spelled myself out to make $20 Amazon referral fee on that. And you understand how many guys are out there doing it. I literally get 2 to 3 guys a week in my store that are dragging in POS pressure washers going, I heard I can make $300 to $500 an hour with this.
And it's junk. I mean, some of it, it's meant for homeowners, and that's all it is. I mean, there are decent homeowners.
They don't even have the basic understanding of how to do this, of what a pressure washer does, what a pressure washer, I see all the time, guys hooking up direct drive machines to tote tanks and going, well, it won't work. But the guy told me that if I pull it off the trailer and put it down below the level, it would pull. You know what? Not necessarily. That's not true that's going to happen.
Hey, Aubrey, how are you doing today? No, I haven't, Aubrey and I met in Houston, I think it was. That's been a long time ago.
Read some what Little's is saying here. Twin graduate job site around the country. Need help with chemicals and pricing. Blows your mind. Yeah. I mean, how many times do we see this on I had a customer who was in today and he's like, yeah, well, I asked this question on Pressure Washing Friends and I was like, holy crap, they gave you the right advice on Pressure Washing Friends. I was kind of amazed, So that's probably the first time I've ever heard that. Yeah, exactly. Littles, you're 100%.
And that's the thing, the new guys starting out don't have a clue what advice is bad advice. They just don't know, right?
Mhm.
So, I remember quite some time back, I got called to the carpet for a bad piece of advice that I gave. And, some people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that." I'm like, "No, absolutely you should be." If I gave the wrong advice on something, if it's a bad piece of advice, I would prefer that the community stand up and say, "Hey, Doug, that's wrong, and here's why," and explain why that, because that's what makes everybody better. And all of us have the ability to make mistakes. Okay. It was a mistake that I made. So look, it is okay to call out the gurus. It's okay to call out the industry veterans. It's okay to call out the new guys. Just do it in a
We
respectful
all make
fashion.
mistakes. I mean, we've made plenty of mistakes. I mean, in fact,
Plant and property protection comes from mistakes.
what's the best expert to have is the guy that's made a ton of mistakes and learn. I mean, that was literally plant and property protection was written because of all the screw ups that we had over. You and I had all these pictures like in our library going, oh wait, that's where I killed these hedges. Oh wait, that's where I changed this color on the siding. Oh wait, that's what could I have done different? Blah 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 blah. Yeah,
this is where I turned that white paint to a fluorescent green. Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
This is where this outdoor kitchen, the faucet got all black and spotty. Yeah,
exactly.
This is that outlet that caught fire because I didn't know that I was
I mean, I will never forget. I will never forget. I was sitting there at the Hilton Garden Inn, corner of Blairstone and Appalachia Parkway. I was there with Tim Aselton, and we were talking. Apple Wash had just come out, and we were going to shoot a video on Apple Wash. And Tim looked at me and he says, "Dude, tape that outlet right there." And I said, "Tim, I've washed this hotel like 3 times." I said, "I'm not worried." I said, "Those outlets are good." "Dude, tape the outlet." "Dude, I'm not worried about it." So I've got the camera set up. We're shooting a video and fire literally shooting up the side of it. Guess what? Those things dry out. The gaskets around there dry out. We fried an outlet. We set it on fire. It's amazing what winds up happening whenever we don't do that. And I should have I didn't have to tape that whole outlet. I should have put a piece of tape right over just the little swale over that. And, and Trudy, we just sat there and said that, 100%. You know what? Crap flows downhill. And usually it's the last person that touches it that winds up being liable for it.
And even if you've got a contract and you think it's locked in,
contract online. We've got a contract that's going to save you from all of this.
You cannot contract away I mean, it can help. Don't get us wrong. It can help.
Hold on. It just says Kent Holmes 100%, but I don't see Kent Holmes comment anywhere. This is why I hate this software.
I know. I don't see his comment either.
I don't either. So Kent, whatever you said, and I totally agree with Kent pretty much on everything. So thank you, but I don't see your comment.
And Kelly, thank you for putting that up there because I don't see Kent's comment either. This is proof to us though, Ray, that we've said it 1,000 times because we're on so many different streams right now. We can't see all of the comments coming in, and so people get upset with us about, well, how come you never pick me? We don't see you. I mean, sometimes it's.
Explain that. Servant wants to know about the black and spotty faucet. Explain that to them because I know the picture, but that was your picture.
Yeah. So bleach, SH. So the wind can carry it wherever it wants to go, right? And we didn't protect a nickel finish that was inside of an outdoor kitchen, and the bleach got onto it and just speckled it up. And so one restore worked and brought it back to what it was supposed to look like. But it's just one of those things where, you get that phone call and, hey, how come this is ruined? And we paid really good money for this. And it wasn't, I remember her with, we paid really good money for this, and it was a cheap end faucet. It's like, it wasn't anything great, lady, but nonetheless, we damaged it because the bleach went in. And you have to think about the way, even when you're just doing a house wash mix, right? A 1% or even a 3/4% mix, and the wind is blowing it here and there. You got to think about those kinds of things. Where is that taking it to? And is that item down there? I mean, you might even have an American flag, right? And the American flag is not bleach safe. You might have, like around here, LSU or Alabama or, whatever, they got a flag out front that is not color fast.
Yeah.
All those different things that you can ruin very quickly. You got to think about those kinds of things.
You know what? I bought a $90 hammock one time because I would have assumed it was ripstop nylon that sat out there in the sun and some bleach got on it. And I'm like, well, it's a hammock. I mean, it's obviously UV. We used to always say if it's UV safe, it's bleach safe. Not always. Not always.
Well, that's also why, like on a lot of the awnings, when people clean awnings, they think, oh yeah, well the awning is color fast, so it's not a problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but what about the stitching? And the stitching comes undone 2 weeks after you leave because
that happens a lot with the awnings out there. But I don't rinse it, and the bleach just eats away the stitch, the cotton stitching.
It's not only that, but it's the guys don't pre-wet them, right? You should get all of that stitching wet first, so that it doesn't want to absorb, right. and also do a good thorough rinse of it.
I understand that bleach attacks the first thing that it comes into bleach burns itself up really, really fast. It's going to start attacking the first thing that it comes into contact with. It's one of the reasons it's so aggressive on wood decks, and you can get furring all over the decks. Like if you've got a dirty deck, you're probably okay to spray bleach all over it. If it's a relatively clean deck, you spray a hot bleach on it. It's not attacking algae. It's attacking the lignin and the fibers and all in the deck, and it starts just chewing it up on there. In fact, ironically, the deck that's under the really dirty area looks good after you've done washing it, but the deck that was not dirty looks kind of like crap because the bleach is just eating it up, And sadly, just finished $20,000 apartment complex, $99 can't get through the vetting process. Exactly. You would hope so, but sadly enough,
they do.
A lot of times they do. But and I agree about this comment. Having legit insurance gets you in the big jobs.
Absolutely.
And Bob, 100%. We have to. That was one of the things we would always do whenever we're in a big job in a public area. Go ahead and put some money in your wallet. Deal with that.
I thought Jim was going to keep that in the dresses in the closet.
Yeah, it is. Well, wait, hold on, Jim Bob. Is that for customers or is that for you? Are you sitting around drinking Bud Light tonight? I'm just curious.
Yeah, he bought a couple of dresses. I'm thinking him with that big beard and the dress. I mean, I'm just thinking, And imagine Jim Bob. There you go. Imagine Jim Bob inside a convenience store going, "It's ma'am."
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't.
Oh, dear. Jim, you should do that. You should go somewhere and have somebody video. That'd be funny. All right, game over.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Jim Bob's beard is one stage below, like it's one stage past like sea captain, like 1800 sea captain, and then just like it's between there and wizard,
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yep.
So right on the label.
Oh, and the other funny part there is JMH is that, and they haven't figured out that it's Chick-fil-A and they're closed on a Sunday either. Yeah, it's amazing. But again, this is where we talk about you take your pictures of it And I know we've deviated off of the care, control, and custody, but you know what? Whenever you go up out there, stand back and take a picture of these are our cones. This is what we've done. We've blocked off these areas. Oh, and by the way, it's a Sunday. So you do that, because if you don't take a picture of something, it's basically never happened.
And the funny thing about that, the arguments that we hear sometimes about, especially not having time. I don't have time to go around and take pictures of every little thing. The beautiful part of it is that in today's modern day with the digital cameras and all that, I can zoom into a picture and I can see a lot of detail just by zooming in after I've taken the picture. So even if you just walk around and take, the 4 basic angles of the house, you're catching a lot in those pictures that you may not realize. You might find out when the customer calls you up and says, oh, hey, you guys broke my window. And then you go back to the picture and you see, no, before we even started, there was a broken window. We didn't notice it either, but there it is.
It was actually already,
A lot of times it's dead plants, right? Oh, y'all killed my plants. When it was already dead, you may not have even noticed, but it's important to get those pictures. And especially nowadays with company cam and everything, there's no real excuse unless you're a Bud Light drinker.
Yeah, I agree. Kent said, hold on, paint issue is a known industry problem. So literally it is a contractor's problem if they want a house and damage the paint. As you know, we have commercial property wash for years without bleach. Paint has failed twice. Plus, many other incidents will only occur in one location. That's true. I mean, you're both right. You're literally both right. I disagree that there's a problem, that there is paints that should ever fail because of that without them going disclaimers to every contracting organization in the world going, hey, this sucks. And yes, these paints can fail no matter what you use.
And Gene, to your point, I mean, I had the same thing happen where I went and I did a house wash on a house. Everything was great. No problem. The following year, my guys went out, they did a house wash, and some areas of the fascia turned fluorescent. And this was on like a kind of an off-white color, which they say that never happens on white. Well, it does. Okay. So, whose fault is that? Is it my fault? Is it the paint's fault? To me, the problem is it kind of doesn't necessarily matter. It's the fact that it wasn't that way when we got there, and now it's that way. Okay. That's where educating, and this is where having it in your paperwork, it might help you. It might not help you, right? Yeah, I agree that it's not necessarily your fault, but it's also not the homeowner's fault. So who has to pay for it? I mean, that's where it gets up in the air and can get kind of sticky.
Yes, and this is also why you need and let's circle back to where we started. This is why you need insurance with control and custody on there too, because you don't want that happening to you. You need your insurance policy to actually handle the screw ups that may happen whenever something's under your custody, or go ahead and repaint the dang thing yourself. Now, that might not work if it's a $20,000 paint job, but I'll tell you.
Not only that, but you also have to remember it's the customer that chooses who paints. You can say, I will repaint it for you. They don't have to let you. They don't say, no, we don't trust you.
Several $2,000, $2,500 paint jobs. We've done multiple ones ourselves and stripped a check for it gladly.
Yep. Whatever it takes.
Yeah. And you know what? And I know Trudy could probably speak to this. She's watching, but Magenta Pigment and SW uses organic paint. But I don't think it's just the magenta. I think
So here's the thing on that. I recently had a conversation with Sherwin-Williams, with a Sherwin-Williams sales manager, right? We had the discussion. He's like, I don't know. And he said, I will find out for you. And so it took about, I guess that's been about 3 weeks now where he has called back. He's let me know that the manufacturer part of Sherwin-Williams had told him that it's in every single one of their so you take a white bucket of paint and you put the colors in there. Every single one of the colors that they have are made with organic pigments. Every single one is what he said.
There you go.
I was like, wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting that as an answer.
There it is.
And it becomes how much of that organic pigment is being put in. Maybe it's part of the curing process. Is there too much? Because think about this. This is just coming to me just now, Ray. Think about it. Have you ever had that happen to you, Ray?
What's that?
Where you change the color on the paint?
Well, yeah, those are my pictures and the plant property thing. Yeah. Yeah,
here's my point though. And Gene's another good one, right? When you look at his pictures, here's the point of it. Is it the entire panel that changes?
No, it's sometimes, well, yes, and sometimes no.
But the one on yours was different though, because that was the whole mop bucket thing.
Well, I've had them where one, the whole thing has gone from yellow to like a pale green. And then I've also had it where we've had the blue that has smurfed out like but it's in various random spots that make no sense whatsoever.
So here's my theory that just came to me on my mind on that one. And that is, as that paint is being applied, some of that pigment hasn't thoroughly maybe mixed in, maybe. And so as it's drying, I mean, even though it's all the same color, so now as the bleach is hitting that part of the pigment, and that's maybe why on some of these jobs we're not getting any issues at all. This is just theory. It's something I just came up with just now, but maybe that's part of the reason why some of that happens. And just to be fair and clear, this is not a Sherwin-Williams problem or issue. No, this is a problem with all
air.
Yeah.
And, the Trudy just said, white tan. I've actually seen the browns change before too. I've had a brown change out. Luckily the customer goes, oh, I like this a little bit better. So, Doug, we're at an hour.
I see that.
I'm tired.
Me three.
Good discussion. Let's get this wrapped though. Because remember, guys, your insurance is vital, but also having the right insurance is vital. Having care, custody, and control is more vital, and taking pictures of the precautions that you've done is vitaler. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but all of it is so important,
Mm-hmm. Pictures are the cheapest insurance you can possibly buy.
Yeah.
Not a question.
100%. I mean, I was sitting here looking through the old files, and all my pictures didn't. I take so many pictures, but all my pictures did not transfer over. But I mean, it was downright shocking how many pictures that, we would take.
Yep.
Whenever we were out on jobs. And again, if you've not listened to what, we were saying before, I mean, just you go and you've just got to sit here and do this care and this, and you've got to document the care that you've done. Absolutely. And you've got to just, and when you show up to a person's house and you see things like that, you've got to take pictures of that whenever you show up, because guess what? Somebody's gone and knocked off the oxidation layer on that house. If you see something that looks wrong, you've got to document it. Because if you don't, you're the guy that winds up paying for it. And like several people have said here tonight, the crap winds up, it flows downhill.
Yep. And if you don't think that people can sue you for the most stupidest of things, trust me, they can. And they can push the issue a lot further than it should ever get in the court systems, even though it is frivolous. So it can happen. And not that we don't like to paint gloom and doom, so to speak, but we want you to try to protect yourselves, protect your business, grow a good, healthy, strong business, a nice brand, build a nice, solid foundation so that those little hiccups and things really don't hurt you. Gene, I'll pick on Gene again. The whole issue with the one house that I'm thinking of, I mean, there's been more, but, Gene easily can survive that issue coming up. Okay. First of all, he's going to be professional on the job site. Second of all, it doesn't matter. He's got insurance and he can handle writing a check for things if he needs to. because he runs a good professional business.
That's true. Just ask McDonald's about their hot coffee. Bingo. Anybody can sue anybody for anything, anywhere, and especially in Louisiana.
Yep, that's it.
Guys, thank y'all.
Wash on.
Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all. See y'all next.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye.